Back for the diaries. Um, how's it going? I'm doing good. Uh, I haven't done like UFO UAP news in a while, so I'm getting into that a little bit today. Finding some stuff on that. Talk about that for a little bit. Yeah, if you're here from the main show, what up? Good to have you here. If you haven't even heard of the main show, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Pumpkin Hill Radio, check it out. That's the main show. If you're here somehow without that, that's awesome, but go check it out. Go check out the main shindig, I got the kitty here. I named him. His name's Merlin. He's he's something else. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just get into it, right? Shall we? Without further ado.
Trump's classified UAP hearing notes, marked Immaculate Constellation, red-inked and restricted, just landed in public hands. The leak came straight from inside the CIA. Congressional aides flagged an oversight breach. Americans are already alarmed by whispers of a Pentagon program hidden even from top lawmakers. Urgent safety of flight. That phrase never leaves a routine hearing, but it's stamped here, tied to Navy near collisions with objects nobody can explain. Officials now scramble to contain the fallout, but one line inside those notes has experts questioning everything. What exactly did the CIA want to keep quiet? The answers demand immediate attention.
Now, I just have to say before we even get too far into this, but Project Bluebeam. Just be aware of that, everybody. Mainly just because I just have a feeling, you know what I mean? If you don't know what Bluebeam is, it's basically there's going to be like a staged like false flag alien invasion. It might be real aliens, I don't know, but it's going to be like a false flag kind of a thing to create a world government. It's all going to be a lie. It has to do with end times, but we're really getting up like 2025 to 2027 be some big stuff. New world government's going to be implemented by 2030 kind of a thing. Whole lot of people are going to get wiped out. I don't want to fearmonger, but I just think it's worth saying and being aware of, so when shit goes down, we're not like completely existential and afraid. We're like, oh, these motherfuckers are lying to us, because they lie about everything.
Congressional clerk sat hunched over the table,
Immaculate
highlighter in hand, scanning the top page of the leaked UAP hearing notes. The words Immaculate Constellation stood out, typed in bold with a warning stamped above. Special access required. The code word wasn't just a label, it was a barrier. Access restricted to only a handful of cleared officials, even among those with top secret clearance. A red border framed the title, the kind used for classified briefings that never leave secure rooms. Each page carried the SAP designation, a mark reserved for the most tightly held secrets in the U.S. government. The clerk's pen paused on a highlighted line. Unacknowledged Special Access Program, Immaculate Constellation. This wasn't a routine compartment. It meant the program's existence was denied, even to most intelligence insiders. Staffers in the room exchanged glances. Some whispered about the last time they'd seen a document stamped with that level of restriction. Few could recall. One phrase, underlined twice, read, "Urgent safety of flight issue." That language doesn't appear in standard intelligence summaries. It's reserved for moments when pilots nearly collide with something they can't identify, when the margin for error is measured in seconds. The notes referenced recent Navy incidents, near misses over the Atlantic, pilots forced to take evasive action. These weren't stories from decades past. They were pulled from hazard reports filed within the last 5 years. Each incident logged, then locked behind digital firewalls. A second highlighted section warned, if any recipient is not cleared for Immaculate Constellation, cease reading immediately and report breach. The gravity of that instruction wasn't lost on anyone present. Mishandling a SAP document doesn't just risk a reprimand, It can trigger an internal investigation, surveillance, even criminal charges. The clerk's hands shook as they passed the folder to the next aide. No one spoke above a whisper. At the bottom of the page, a final note. Printed reference to Immaculate Constellation may trigger counterintelligence monitoring. The implication was clear. This program wasn't just secret, it was actively shielded. A single misstep could draw the attention of security teams tasked with hunting leaks. In that room, the weight of secrecy pressed down on every person. The name alone was enough to raise alarms. The document's presence in public hands meant the old barriers had failed. For the first time, staffers faced the reality that even the highest level safeguards could be breached. The sense of unease grew with every page turned. Senior aides gathered behind closed doors, eyes fixed on the confidential memo now circulating among the committee. The room, usually a place for routine briefings, pulsed with a tension that rarely surfaced in Washington. The document's SAP designation was more than a bureaucratic stamp. It was a warning that oversight had failed. Names of funding sources were blacked out. Entire budget lines vanished under thick redactions. The aides knew what that meant. Money moved without trace. Programs hidden from the very lawmakers sworn to supervise them. One staffer, voice low, read aloud from a section citing a breach of constitutional duty. The memo accused unnamed officials of bypassing established reporting channels, shielding Immaculate Constellation from congressional review. The language was blunt, no euphemisms, no hedging. It referenced specific statutes, even quoting Article 1 powers. The implication was clear. The committee had been denied information it was legally entitled to see. A senior counsel slid a second folder across the table. Inside, a summary of recent security reviews detailed how surveillance protocols had quietly expanded. The memo warned that any mention of the program, even in private notes, could trigger monitoring by internal security teams. Several aides exchanged uneasy glances, aware that their own communications might already be under review. One whispered about a colleague who'd been called in for questioning after referencing a restricted code word in an email. The sense of alarm grew sharper as the group scanned a list of prior breaches. Each entry described a scenario where classified material had slipped beyond its intended audience, sometimes by accident, sometimes by intent. The consequences were spelled out: lost clearances, forced resignations, in rare cases, prosecution. The committee's own authority was on the line. If the leak had reached this far, what else had slipped through the cracks? Lawmakers entered the room, faces set, as staffers briefed them on the scale of the oversight failure. Questions came fast. Who authorized the compartment? Who approved the funding? When did the security review last occur? Answers were thin. The aides could only point to the redacted sections and warn that the breach cited in the memo was not hypothetical. It had already happened. The old assumption that classified programs were contained by layers of oversight no longer held. For the first time, the committee faced the reality that the system designed to protect the nation's deepest secrets had left them exposed, and no one could say how far the leak had spread. A safety officer's inbox pinged just after midnight. The subject line caught his eye: urgent safety of flight issue. The sender was a senior Navy aviator, flagged as high priority. Inside, the message was blunt: multiple near mid-air collisions with unidentified objects. If any of you know what these are, tell me as soon as possible. There was no technical jargon, no attempt to soften the warning. The email named 3 separate incidents from the past week, each one a near disaster. Call signs, altitudes, and GPS coordinates were listed in stark detail. Pilots had been forced to break formation and take evasive action. One encounter left a fighter jet just seconds from impact. The officer scrolled down. Attached were 2 hazard reports, pulled straight from the Navy's aviation safety reporting system. Each report described objects with no transponder, no radar signature, and flight patterns that defied expectation. The language was cold and clinical, but the urgency was unmistakable. The email didn't just stay confined to the safety office. Within hours, it had been forwarded up the chain, to squadron commanders, then to the Office of Naval Intelligence. By sunrise, the message was gone, deleted from inboxes, scrubbed from the shared drive. Only a handful of recipients even remembered seeing it. For those who did, the deletion was more chilling than the warning itself. One pilot later recalled, "It vanished overnight. No explanation, no follow-up. We were told not to discuss it." The The officer checked the digital routing logs. The record showed a manual override. Access permissions changed at 3:17 a.m., locking the message away in a classified folder. Requests for the original were denied. IT support couldn't recover a backup. The incident reports attached to the email were also missing from the usual database. In their place, a single line: access restricted, contact program manager. Aviation safety protocols require every near miss to be logged, reviewed, and briefed to air crews. This time,
near miss is pretty serious.
No debrief, no safety stand down. When a junior pilot asked about the missing reports, his supervisor gave a warning look and changed the subject. The message was clear. Some hazards weren't meant for open discussion. The original email, now lost to all but memory, had one last line: recommend immediate review of safety protocols. Threat is ongoing. For the officers who read it, that phrase became a quiet refrain. They knew the risks weren't theoretical. 11 near collisions had been logged in just 5 years, each one a close call that could have ended in disaster. The fact that the warning vanished so quickly only deepened the sense of danger. The threat wasn't just in the sky, it was in the silence that followed. Aviation safety officers learned early to watch for patterns in the disappearance of UAP incident records. After a near collision, the initial report would enter the Navy's standard safety database. Within hours, that entry could vanish. Requests for access returned a denial message. The official reason, classified routing, came without explanation. Some officers called it the restricted mailbox, a digital holding pen where reports sat out of reach. Only program managers with special clearance could retrieve them. For most, the trail ended at a locked screen. The process was never officially acknowledged. Instead, commanders issued verbal reminders. Sensitive cases go direct, one said, tapping the side of his nose. Written instructions rarely appeared, but the message was clear. Some hazards traveled a different path. Gag orders came down quietly. Pilots were told to keep discussions inside briefings. Safety officers received warnings about sharing details, even with colleagues who held top-secret clearances. The term "immaculate constellation" became a silent signal. Mention it, and the conversation stopped. A Navy safety officer described the moment he realized the system was built to suppress. After logging a UAP near miss, he checked the routing log. The record showed a manual override at 2:41 a.m. The document moved from the open hazard system to a compartmented folder marked for Office of Naval Intelligence Eyes Only. He tried to print a copy. The printer rejected the job, flashing a red alert: unauthorized output, contact security. In congressional testimony, another officer recounted how his own report disappeared 3 days after submission. He received no follow-up, no inquiry, nothing but silence. When he pressed his supervisor, the answer was blunt: it's above your pay grade. These experiences weren't isolated. A pattern emerged. Every UAP incident with flight safety consequences was routed away from routine review, shielded from the usual chain of command. Even hazard reports that should have triggered fleet-wide safety stand-downs were quietly archived, never briefed to crews. Digital audit logs confirmed the practice. At least 3 major near-collision reports from 2015 to 2019 were archived in classified folders and removed from the open database within a day of filing. IT staff traced manual permission changes to senior-level directives. The records were not deleted outright, but their visibility was restricted to a handful of officials. Attempts to retrieve backups failed. Only a few remembered seeing the original files at all. For the officers and pilots involved, the system felt less like a security protocol and more like a wall. The threat was real. 11 near collisions in 5 years, but the official record was missing
So
key
repetitive.
details. Every attempt to surface the risk met a
That's the most repetitive thing. It could have been a fucking 5-minute video. Here we go.
Did we just get actual footage of a UFO up close? That's what these new videos. It's with John Stewart, not that John Stewart, different John Stewart. What do you think about this? John Stewart, who had the alien autopsy video out there for a bit and has talked pretty much on a lot of different shows about that particular video and how that video, or it might have been the interview rather than the autopsy, but either way, has video that he has pretty much been adamant about that was legitimate. Well, he posted this. This didn't come from him necessarily, but he helped share this. Take a look at this footage. I know a lot of the first thing I thought was, is it AI? Because now with AI, you can do anything, so it's always going to be the question. But take a look at this, and let's talk about it afterwards.
Been years to dig it up, to excavate it. I don't know what happened to the craft, but I know this is legitimate. Check this out.
Oh, this thing is massive. Oh no, that could easily be AI. Especially since it's such poor quality. Makes it easier, I think. Because it's not just like a filter or like, you know, that like viable
You see
videos
a lot
have.
of the footage there, you know, as it's apparently this is like a Russian plane or something that's going around this. And looking at this, that's the top of it. So there's more to it, obviously. This guy said he, however he came across this footage, whatever it might be. Now you can make, it looks like an older shot footage, right? And apparently it's Russian footage, from what the gentleman said inside of the video. How he came about it, I don't know. But a lot of people are asking how come if it's something of that size, how it's not Google Maps and other things of that nature. And again, like AI being the first question, but let's go this route with it, right? This is the kind of thing that needs to happen when it's legit. I'm not saying this isn't legit. I'm just saying, but this is the type of thing that should happen in order to get the conversation out there. Where it's like this, instead of grainy footage and, oh, did a missile bounce off of that thing? But it was a balloon. You can't say that's a balloon. If you can look at that and you can. What you need to do is the people that are going through frame by frame, testing and checking the Hellfire missile thing, do that with this and say, okay, clearly that is AI generated. Missile. I can show you how it's AI generated. That isn't anything in particular. That is some kind of monument or whatever it might be. But let's see.
Let's check that out. Let's check out Hellfire missile. Here we go.
The newly released video captured by a U.S. Reaper drone shows a glowing orb off the coast of Yemen. Suddenly, on the left side of your screen, you see a Hellfire missile zip in, strike that unidentified object, then bounce right off it. When we slow the video down, you see the Hellfire missile continue to travel on its path, that trajectory becoming clearer from this zoomed-out angle. Not shown is a second Reaper drone that launched the missile. Congressman Eric Burleson shared the video at a House Oversight Committee on what the military calls unidentified aerial phenomena, better known as UFOs.
That's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
We've never seen a Hellfire missile hit a target and bounce off.
Lou Elizondo is a former senior intelligence officer with the Pentagon.
Seems like blue
the
beam.
Hellfire makes a hit, a kinetic strike on something solid. There's usually not much left of whatever it is it's hitting. It's very, very destructive. What seems to happen is that the missile is either redirected or in some case perhaps glances off the object and continues on its way.
A recent government report
Maybe
revealed the
shooting
government
this stuff with
received more than
missiles isn't the fucking
750
move.
new UAP sightings in the 2024 fiscal year, leaving lawmakers digging into the mystery and national security concerns posed by these objects.
Does this video scare you guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Yes.
Me too. So there's a lot missing from that video, like what mission they were on, and as they said, what are we even looking at here? Now, we do know the U.S. military is conducting regular airstrikes against Houthi targets that posed a threat to U.S. Navy and commercial vessels. Pentagon officials.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think necessarily it's a good idea to shoot missiles at unidentified objects. And I get it, like, oh, the national security, the airspace, all that good shit. But I just think, you know, maybe it's not a good idea. Because clearly that didn't do anything. And if that didn't do anything, whatever made that or, like, is controlling that, is a real motherfucker. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Maybe it can really just, like, really mess us up if we're not good. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's get into let's get into this now. 3-Eye Atlas. I want to hear someone with like a cool idea. Seems like none of these people have cool ideas. Let's hear these.
Have you heard about this new interstellar object, 3-Eye Atlas?
Rare interstellar object the size of Manhattan could be an alien probe, according to Harvard scientists. This is an interstellar object.
Harvard.
It came from outside of the solar system.
Pentagon's UFO chief, the chairman of Harvard's astronomy department as well, both releasing a report on Tuesday where they wrote an artificial interstellar object.
There's a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe.
They want to continue propagating the narrative that there is an imminent threat to humanity, that only one select group of people can solve it. What did Sam Altman say?
What if AI gets so smart that the president of the United States cannot do better than following ChatGPT? Just say, you know what, I fully hand it over. ChatGPT 7, you are in charge. Good luck.
They want to separate the alien stuff from the AI stuff because they have two separate audiences, but they both have an overarching theme of imminent doom, like this 3-Eye Atlas. When it comes close, what if there's like a transmission? And that transmission, they interconnected with AI. What if there's a correlation between the interstellar object showing up and advancement of AI and the invasion? Have you heard about...
Okay. What?
Have you heard about this new...
Alright. Alright. Let's see what else we can get here. Man, they don't want me to look up that.
October, an object passing from interstellar space will enter our solar system and it's not behaving like it should.
Bro, this guy
Enter
talks
3-Eye Atlas,
crazy.
mate. This thing is bigger than Mount Everest. It's flying at 60 kilometers per second and its trajectory is a little bit too perfect, Rev. It threads the orbits of Venus, Earth, Mars, and Jupiter, and the odds of this happening is 1 in 20,000. Most scientists are calling this bad boy a comet, but if it changes trajectory as it approaches the sun, we might be in for something very different. This is Avi Lieb, okay? He's a professor of science at Harvard University, and he is under the notion that this thing is very strange and potentially could be something beyond. And there's a few other people in the field now that are kind of agreeing with what he's saying. And the reasoning's here: perfect alignment with the elliptic plane, but retrograde, passing near multiple planetary orbits, Venus, Earth, Mars, and Jupiter. Probability of such a trajectory occurring naturally estimates to 0.005%. Possibility of non-gravitational acceleration, like a Oumuamua, if observed. He emphasises it was a pedagogical exercise. I'm not sure if I said that right, but who knows. Meaning a thought experiment, but stated, if it changes trajectory in a way we explain by gravity or comet outgassing, we should be open to the possibility of it not being natural. Right. enter Project Bluebeam. Now we're seeing other scientists and astronomers kind of coming forward questioning the legitimacy of this being a normal, naturally occurring piece of material flying into our solar system, right? Is this the beginning segments of this bad boy, right? And I'm seeing loads of other people sharing stuff about this online.
The Great
saying,
Deception.
Potential hostile alien ship entering the solar system. Bro, if this turns out to be, you know, the third kind, the fourth kind, fifth kind, whatever you want to call, they wouldn't take this long to get here. We know that they could just go bink and teleport here instantaneously. So to kind of slowly approach some sort of ship into our solar system to then kind of spook people, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me, mate. Could be something to do with this. I don't know, man. What do you guys think?
I like that guy. I like that idea. Here we go. This guy's
As
awesome.
you guys know, there is a group of scientists claiming that there
This guy's
may
hilarious.
possibly be some sort of alien invasion or alien attack in November. There's a huge object headed this way.
So that like that one guy. There's one guy that said like, you know, take any vacations before the October 30th. Bro, what are you talking about? Forget who it was. I think it was that Harvard scientist, but he's like, yeah, if we're gonna take a vacation, take it before we're gonna fly anywhere. Go. You might want to take that before October 30th. Like he knew something. Like he's in on it. I don't trust it.
A interstellar object. Now, some scientists are claiming that it's just a comet. But the reality is, there's something different about this object. I'm not saying that it's an alien ship, but if you look at the studies, it's behaving differently than most comets do. However, this group of scientists, they're saying that there is a 99% chance that this is some sort of alien craft. And ever since they started talking about this news, ever since this story broke, we've been discussing it right here on this channel. And we've been discussing the possibilities that maybe this is the build-up to Project Bluebeam or something like that. If you don't know what Project Bluebeam is, go do a little research.
So my thing too is, if there's this many people that are this suspicious of it being Project Bluebeam, I just wonder if they still have like that much confidence to just go for it anyway, or if they're gonna change it up. You know what I mean? Like, is it gonna be like how convincing is it gonna be?
Talking about the possibility that this could be the build-up to Project Bluebeam. And it just so happens that Avi Loeb, the lead scientist that is making all of these claims about this alien ship, well, he was on a podcast or a live stream or whatever. He was talking to people, he was answering questions, and they straight up questioned him about Project Bluebeam. And I have mixed feelings about his reaction. But I don't want to taint your reaction to what he has to say. So what I want to do is, I want to roll this clip.
Nice.
As you listen, you let me know what you think. I don't want my opinions to taint how you feel about what he has to say. So as you watch the clip, comment below, let me know what you think. And then after the clip, of course, I'll be right back to let you know my opinion. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll the footage.
They said they're going to stage a fake alien second coming to put the world under a new world order.
Sorry, who
all
are
that
they?
kind of stuff.
Who are they? When you say they, it doesn't mean...
This is the thing, we don't really know. The gatekeepers of everything, the people that want, it could be Illuminati, it could be anybody. But they say that they can project these things into the sky. They're going to make it look like, this is what Jeremy Corbell said, that in 2027, he gave a date. He gave a date.
Project what?
Project Bluebeam, yes. Project Bluebeam.
No, but what is the
came
idea?
From Serge Manasse.
They will create Three-Eye Atlas in the sky for all of us to see?
That's basically what they're saying.
That's not possible technically. It's not. Let me tell you, try to do it yourself.
Oh no! I agree with you. I agree with what I'm saying.
Bro, that's a crazy thing to say. Try to do it yourself. I'm a physicist. Try to do it yourself. No, this shit's fucking out there technology. You dummy. You dummy. It's not something you can just do on your own. This shit's gonna be like psychic.
Could be something on the planet where they make it look like there are ships in the sky and stuff like that. Using
you can't do that because the Webb telescope is not on the planet, okay? The Webb telescope is 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth. How do you show the Webb telescope a fictitious object in the sky? How do you do that?
You can't.
Yeah. You can't. So
you're right. You're right. 100%. That's why I don't buy it. I don't buy this being anything connected.
And there is also not just the Webb telescope, but also the Hubble Space Telescope gave us an image of this thing. So you have the Hubble Space Telescope, you have the Webb. They are far away from Earth. You can't do it. And not only you can't do it because you can't fool these telescopes, but you can't do it because they would look at whatever you produce from a different direction. And if it's nearby, then they will. You won't see it in the same direction. Like if you put it a million miles away from Earth, a million miles, okay? Then the Webb telescope will see differently than Earth-based. How can you do something a million miles from Earth? Now, so if you can come up with, I don't know, I'll put some satellite, fine. But this object that we are talking about is right now much farther away. It was discovered at 4.5 times the Earth-Sun separation. That's huge.
So as I said before I rolled the clip, I have mixed feelings about his reaction. I feel like anyone who is kind of fascinated or interested in UFOs and aliens, anyone who studies that stuff, anyone who does even light research into those topics, I feel like anyone that's into that stuff has at least a vague, somewhat, at least some knowledge about Project Bluebeam. I'm not saying that everyone that's fascinated in aliens is an expert on Project Bluebeam, but if you've gone down the rabbit holes, if you've done your research, then chances are at the very least you know a little bit about it. You know what it is. Now, of course, the argument can be made that Avi Loeb is like a legit scientist. Why would he be looking into conspiracies like Project Bluebeam and stuff like that, right? Well, that's where the UFO topic is different than a lot of other topics when it comes to science and stuff like that, because in order to even dig or really look into the UFO topic, you gotta go down those rabbit holes. You gotta go into conspiracy territory. I know people these days, over the past couple of years, they got it easy. The government is out here openly talking about UFOs and aliens, but it hasn't always been that way. In fact, it was not this way until about 2020, okay? People are so quick to forget that you used to be considered insane. People would be shunned.
Yeah, that is something people forget about. Like, you were a crazy person believing in UFOs at all. Like the phenomenon itself, let alone Project Bluebeam, where they would stage this. Now, people, like, you talk about UFOs, and if it's not, like, part of this congressional hearing, like we were just watching, if it's not, like, in this, like, released by the government now, then it's like, well, no, it's not real. It's like, well, they lied the whole time about it. They were hiding this shit forever. So what do you mean? And I like this too, because a lot of people, what people forget about Bluebeam, they say, oh, it's going to be a fake alien invasion. Yes. That's like the first part. The second part is this telepathic, like, voice to skull stuff It's going to be like your Messiah or whatever talking to you, your God talking to you directly into your brain. And that comes with like 5G, 6G, 8G, whatever fucking G they're on. That's like what that is. You can do that shit with like radio waves. Certain Wi-Fi signals are going to give you certain thoughts. It's going to be this voice to skull. It's already a thing people know about. It's like a patented technology. And they're going to just like, yeah, this new world of like leaders. It's going to be like a God Emperor style leader. Not even leader, ruler. That's where I don't think that's right. Because I think it's a ruler, not a leader. It's not going to be leading us anywhere. It's going to be controlling us and ruling us, keeping us in line, keeping us in check. But I think around this point and this point, these first two, a lot of people are going to die. This is going to get people fighting each other or, entering some holy war, some quote-unquote holy war kind of a thing, because their Messiah is talking to them, losing people's mind. People are going to kill themselves, all kind of shit, dark shit. And it's going to emerge as this one ruler, this one world ruler, government. I don't think it's going to be one person. I think it's going to be like a group of bloodlines. But yeah, man, like not that long ago, this shit was insane to be talking about. This was like the deepest down the rabbit hole, and this is just surface level shit now. Because I go down some of these rabbit holes, and it's like, man, to go back to where this was the darkest, weirdest shit.
You would become like the town crazy person if you believed in aliens and stuff at some points throughout recent history.
Yep.
Up until like 5 years ago. So, in order to even do research or to even be in that field, you have to kind of go into conspiracy territory. And we all know that most conspiracies are true. And the term conspiracy was basically created to discredit the truth. To discredit people who were telling...
When you break down conspiracy, it's not like... It has nothing to do with theories, because conspiracy is like people conspiring. That's a legit crime. Yeah.
Truths that the government didn't want the public to know. Let's just say it like that. So, I feel like if you're someone who is all into this stuff, you probably know what Project Bluebeam is. But maybe he doesn't. Cool, whatever. That's just one thought that popped in my mind. A problem that I have when it comes to the paranormal in general, and I've had this problem with the other story that I'm covering about the Annabelle doll. I have this problem where you got people like Avi Loeb. He is putting out some crazy information. Aliens possibly invading or attacking in November. 99% chance this is an alien ship. And people like Avi Loeb, they want you to believe them. They want you to buy into that stuff. But then you bring up something else and they act like it's outlandish. Like if you're someone that is trying to
you're crazy.
To buy into the possibilities
Avi
of
Loeb
a
knows about it.
An interstellar alien spaceship headed towards Earth that's going to attack us in a couple of months. If you want people to believe in that, then how can you act as if it's far-fetched? Oh my God, they could Project Bluebeam. There's no way we could do that. There's no possible way. A lot of people would say that there's no possible way that 3-Eye Atlas is an alien ship. A lot of people would say there's no possible way we're getting invaded or attacked.
Nice
by
meme.
aliens.
Nice meme, dude.
So, I don't know. But it's something that I see often with these paranormal experts, UFO experts, what have you, they want you to believe in these things that are hard for most people to believe in. But they want you to believe in it in the way that they want you to believe in it. We want you to believe that aliens could be coming in November. But we don't want you to believe that there's a possibility that the government could fake it. You know what I mean? We want you to believe that we have the technology to track this interstellar object and we know exactly when it's coming. But we don't want you to believe that we may have the technology to trick you with holograms and stuff in the sky. It's just, I don't know. It puts a bad taste in my mouth when you have people like this that should be open-minded to all possibilities, right? But they're usually closed-minded. It's really weird. They're usually pretty closed-minded, and they want you to...
So what it is what he's talking about is these, like, indoctrinated people. These people that go to these institutions. They learn under a teacher. They're told how to think a certain way. That you need this and that for something to be true. You need to have this proof. You need to have this and that. And then when you really get outside of that box, when you break out of it and hit them with something that's like pretty out there shit, they give you the stare of like, there's no study, there's no evidence on that, there's no evidence that could happen. But it's like, bro, like how much evidence you need? This shit's just gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, oh shit. Because the people talking about it have called a lot of other things that happened. Like there's people talking about Blue Beam that were talking about COVID years before COVID happened. We all thought that was crazy. People talking about the elite pedophile rings years before that happened. We all thought that was crazy. Now it's pretty clear that it's all real. People talking about universal basic income, mass surveillance state with AI, like we're in that right now. We're getting into it even further. It's getting more and more dystopian. Everyone said that's crazy. So maybe the people with the crazy ideas are actually a little closer to the truth. Because in these institutions where you're indoctrinated and hypnotized, you get told certain things and how to think a certain way, so you couldn't even imagine this stuff being real.
About believing in whatever it is on one track, and they don't want you to steer off that track because that's like forbidden territory. So believing that aliens are invading in November, that's fine. Believing that the government could pull off something like Project Bluebeam, totally impossible. So yeah, when I see people who act that way or say things like that, it makes me feel kind of sketched out. It makes me feel kind of sketched
Facts.
out. Because if you're promoting this stuff that requires people to be open-minded to accept, but you shut down everything else, it makes me feel like you're shutting down everything else for a reason. And I don't like that. I want to have the conversations that we're not supposed to have. And it seems like they want us all talking about 3i Atlas. They want us all discussing the possibilities that it's aliens, but they don't want us discussing the possibilities that the government could be lying about all of this in order to trick us into believing that there may be an alien invasion for whatever reason, for whatever tricks they have up their sleeve. And if you've been paying attention, you have seen that ever since it became acceptable to talk about aliens and UFOs, ever since the government kind of acknowledged that this stuff is real, ever since then, there has been like a cast of characters introduced. All of these figures, all of these talking heads that have been introduced into the conversation. People that we weren't hearing from for years, people that we weren't aware of, but it's like all of these experts, all of these people came out of nowhere and kind of inserted themselves as the leading voices in the conversation about aliens and UFOs. And I believe that this cast of characters that have been introduced are really just here, as I said, to steer the conversation in directions where they want the conversation to go.
Nice.
And
I hit this guy with the subscribe. Yeah, this guy's cool. Come support this guy. I like what he's talking about. I think I don't know. Subscribe to him. Cinema Shogun. I think we can maybe get this guy on the pod. Someone send this to him. If you're watching this, send this to this guy. I'll get my people on it too. This would be cool. Get this guy zoomed in on the pod. We'll zoom in for him. Fucking talk some crazy shit. Get fucking nuts, man. But yeah, he makes up a really good point. This like cast of characters that comes out of the woodwork. There's people that have been around for a long time that are along with them too. But I think there's always anytime. Okay, this is crazy. This sounds crazy, but just stay with me because like anytime people come out of nowhere and they get these massive, huge shows. They're on the biggest podcasts. They're on the biggest news shows, getting the biggest interviews, getting huge attention, like ultra superstardom attention, like the like Sean Ryan type people. Hey, I'm not hating them. Even like Joe Rogan, the way he got so big, so I mean it was like a pretty slow roll, but like the change he had from like when he went to Spotify, you know what I mean? These kind of things. There's just certain people, you know, the Stephen Greer, he's got caught lying a couple times. Things like that. Like, I just don't trust some of these people. And that's maybe on me too. Maybe that's just part of my problem, but whenever these people come out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere, and they're talking all this way, they're very articulate, they're almost trained, like PR wise, like they've been training PR for a long time. And the way they push a similar narrative, it just anytime, even not even in the UFO world, any type of like genre industry, these like podcasters that come out of nowhere, these politicians that have podcasts, it's like these people come out of nowhere and they're just actors. They're just people that are acting. And maybe that's just me being like weird. Maybe I smoked too much weed when I was for too long. I don't really smoke weed anymore, but like, you know when you smoke weed and you watch a movie and you can tell they're all acting, or you watch a show and you can tell they're on a set. That's just how I feel when I watch like some of these like major podcasts where they're like, there's not a script, they're kind of improvising, but they have like, it's like WWE. Like they have an intent and a goal and certain things they have to get across, certain points they have to get to, certain things they have to beat around, certain things they have to deflect, certain things they have to just squash, not entertain. And I just feel like there's just a lot of this stuff is just propaganda. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's it for me though. I got these kitties that want some food right now. They're yelling at me. I got to get some food. It's been a good one though. I like this. Had to get the UFO talk going again. It's been a while. But see you later. See you later, guys.